I welcome you all to Zoho Creator Insights webinar. The topic of this webinar is rebranding apps in Zoho Creator. I'm Monica Nirmal Das from Zoho Creator team, and I'll be your host for this session. Before we get started, we have a couple of points to discuss. All the attendees here will be on mute. If you want to communicate, you will need to communicate on the chat panel, and feel free to post your questions in the questions panel. And this session is being recorded, so we will be sending out the recordings to your email. And please do participate in the post session survey and share your valuable feedback. So with that, let's get started. So here we're going to discuss the agenda for this webinar. So we will start off with the introduction, and then we will work with a use case, and followed by the use case, we will see a demo of the application built in Creator. Next, we will talk about customization available for application such as themes, logos, and customizing portal login pages. Then we will learn about how to set up custom domain for Zoho Creator application portals. And we'll also see how to configure SAML Authentication with Azure Active Directory. And finally, we will learn about rebranding your mobile application for iOS. So let's begin. So before we get into the main topics, let me give you a quick introduction about Zoho Creator. Zoho Creator is a low-code app development platform where users can start building their business apps and use it anywhere, anytime. You can use it in web, mobile application, and tablets simultaneously. It basically offers a wide variety of features and functionality, and you can easily drag and drop the functionalities into Builder and instantly create an application. So when we talk about Zoho Creator, it's been in the industry for around 15 plus years right now, and we have 14,000 plus trusted customers. And we have built 7 million apps, which is used by around 6 million users. And the platform is packed with many features and functionalities. You can start off with the app development platform, reporting tool analytics, Flow to connect your services with third party services. And we also offer REST APIs, AI functionality, AR, VR, and extensive customization and logics, which can be written even using external languages like HTML and Java. And we have a lot of reporting or visualization option, automation using workflows, blueprints. We have environments to manage your development and production application, and lot more. So today we're going to talk about one specific part of Zoho Creator, rebranding apps in Zoho Creator, which is the topic of today's webinar. For every new or existing business, one basic goal is to reach more people in the market. So that's going to be the goal at the end of the day. So rebranding mobile application allows you to create and maintain your brand and identity across client facing application. So this helps your business to stand unique and different from other application that you have in the market. So that's why rebranding is important. And let's talk about the other important benefits and other important functions of how rebranding helps your business. Since the late 1990s, this whitelisting or white labeling is a worldwide phenomenon which has been growing steadily. Also, it is still used by many businesses today. Next, we have own app with least possible investment, which means the end user of the white label products usually does not know that they are actually using a software developed by a third party SaaS company. And next, we have more streamlined brand recognition. That is, the end users can easily recognize your brand as they present with the colors, logos, and your brand name and identifying marketings. Also, since you are attaching your brand to a quality product, it increases trust and awareness. It also increases your brand popularity. That is, maintaining a brand identity across client facing applications will help you to gain new customers, which in turn increases the sales, and that's going to increase the revenue at the end of the day. And finally, one major benefit we can talk about is When we talk about a firm can concentrate on producing the product, and another firm can concentrate on the marketing part, and another can focus on selling it. When you talk about the major benefit of white labeling or rebranding the application is going to save the company's time, energy, and money in terms of production as well as marketing cost. Now let's consider use case and see how these use cases can be implemented in Zoho Creator. So here we have Ben. Ben started a small candy shop 3 years ago, and his business started to grow every year. And once the business have started to grow, it become really difficult for him to keep track of all the data, such as orders, bills, and inventory data. So that's when his friend Clint introduced him about Zoho Creator. So Ben's requirement for his application or his business Zilker Candy Shop is he will need to have an online application to collect and store the information related to the orders, customers, and the candy inventory. And also there should be customizable themes and customizable portal for the customers to log in. So while they log in, they should have their own domain, myzilkerapps.online, when the user tries to access the portal. And they should also use the company logo while they try to log in the page. So Ben is currently using Azure Active Directory where he have stored all his delivery agents details, the email address and password which has been created for around 50 plus delivery agents. So he want to make use of this Azure Active Directory and want to connect this to the creator web portal so that he can log in using the same credentials that has been used in Azure Active Directory. And finally, he wants to use a mobile application for iOS so the customers can download the app from App Store. Now let's check on the feasibility. So first, the online application can be done using the app creator, and the web portal can be customized using customer portal and custom domain mapping. And the Azure Active Directory and the single sign-on can be configured using SAML Authentication. And finally, native mobile application can be done using Rebranding Mobile Apps for iOS in Creator. All the requirements are possible in Creator. So let's get started. So first we're going to see a demonstration of the Zilker Candy Shop. So this is the application which has been already built based upon the use case of Zilker Candy Shop. So here we have the dashboard where we have the KPIs of all the order details, and we have an order form to place the order where you can enter the customer details and add in the items, and you can place the order. Once you place the order, all the orders will be available here. And here, when an order is successfully created, you can assign a delivery agent for the order number along with the delivery date. So this creates job sheets. Also, when it's out for delivery, you can click Mark Delivered and complete the process. We also have different types of reporting in Zoho Creator where you can instantly drag and drop the records to another column for the delivery agent to reassign the order. So this is a simple Kanban report. And then we have a calendar report where you can see all the orders has been placed on the calendar based upon their delivery date. And here we have the inventory for all the items and the candy details are available here. So we have the candy name, price, and quantity in stock. Next, we have the delivery agents. We have added 3 delivery agents to the application. And we have a contact us form. So when you add in data here, it will be landed to the Zilker Candy Shop so they can check and get back on the issue. So this is a very basic application, order management for Zilker Candy Shop. So today we're going to implement all the functionalities upon this application. So the first part is going to be setting up themes, logos, and portal login page customization. So when we talk about Zoho Creator application, So once you complete building the app, you can set up themes. So these themes can be configured for web, phone, and tablet. So with respect to themes, you can configure the layout, logo preference, color options, and font. So first we have the layout. So inside the layout, we have top navigation, left navigation, and grid navigation. And then we have the logo preference where you can choose your company logo, or that is the app icon that you have already configured, or you can keep it none. So for every layout that you choose, you can choose a color option. So earlier the color option would be the default colors that will be offered by creator. Whereas now you can create your custom color. And the final part is the font. So we have across 12 different fonts. So you can choose the font and the theme for your application. And this theme will be applied across all the user permission set. Next, we have portals. So for a Zoho Creator application, the user logins and the customer logins are really important. So that's how you share an application with a user. So we have two types of user, internal user and external user. So internal user are the people who are part of your business or organization, the permanent people in your business. Whereas external users are customers, vendors, or any third party person like partners. So who are going to be temporarily working with your business. So for external customers, you can allow them to log in through portals. And these portals are dedicatedly created for every application separately. So you can allow your user to log into the portal to access the application. So for portals, we have three types of customization which you can bring in. So first, you can customize the login page, sign up page, and reset password page. Next, you can customize the email invitations that is being sent, and you can customize the portal domain. To customize a portal login page, you can see we have three different types of customization. So first, you can add an element. It can be a header where you can enter the brand name, a paragraph to enter a description. You can drag and drop image to add in a logo. You can create tables or add spacer wherever required. Then you can insert system variables of Zoho like current date or admin user ID or app name or current time or even IP address. And the third option is to customize the page property. So this is where you choose the page size, background color, or border size or thickness, or you can even add a background image to the page. So these are the three customization which is available for a portal login page. And this is not it. We have lot more with respect to customizing the application. So you can enhance the UI of the application and increase the user friendliness of your application with multiple options in Creator. You can set up the form layout customization, manage the field alignment, provide visual assistance by customizing the button text, offering tooltips, provide redirection, manage the field size, and you can customize the report properties by adding conditional formatting, creating action items, that is creating a custom button action, and you can even add meaningful messages throughout the reports in your application, which is contextual messages. And finally, you can set up a record template where you can generate a custom invoice or e-certificate and add in and map the data from your record of your application and send out emails, print or download it. Now let's see a quick demonstration of all of this. So here we have a Zilker candy shop, the application. I'm going to click edit this application and open that in a new tab, which is the edit mode of the application. Here you can see on the top left corner, we have web, phone and tablet. So you can choose the type of device and select themes. So this is where you will configure the themes. So we have the default left alignment, then we have the top alignment, and we also have grid alignment for the layout. So you can choose the type of layout you want to fix for the application. And then we have the color options. where you can see these are the default color options, wherein you can choose the custom and you can create one from scratch, or you can also create one and edit it. Then we have the logo preference. So if you have mapped the logo under the organization, so this is the C6 UI of Zoho Creator, the latest version of Creator. So if you're not able to see this UI of Creator from your end, please reach our support team. They will help you with the upgrade. Now here under manage, you can see organization. This is where you will need to upload your company or organization logo. You can also include a favicon. So once you add up here, you can add the logo to your application. So here you can see you can click on the logo preference and choose organization logo, which adds a logo to your application, or you can choose the application icon which you have configured, or you can choose none. So here I'm going to choose the organization logo, and here on the bottom we have the font. So I'm going to choose Source Sans Pro. So now we have customized it for web. Similarly, you can customize it for mobile and tablet. So let's choose the mobile, wherein you can see when you click on the theme for mobile, we have different types of layout. We have sliding pane, column card, and bottom bar. So you can also fill the navigation bar based upon your requirement and business needs. Next, let's talk about customizing the portal. To customize the portal, we will need to first create a portal for the application. So under deploy, you can see the option portal. So click on it. Here, I'm going to click create new, agree for the statements, and proceed. So first I'm going to select the application, Zilker Candy Shop. Here we have two options for the portal URL, which is the default domain, and next we have the custom domain. Let's say Candy Shop, and we have three portal types: public, private, and restricted. So public portal type offers users to sign up and sign in. So anyone can sign up for your application and sign in. Whereas private allows only to sign in the users which were already added to your application from the backend. And restricted allows users to get the approval from your end while they sign up for the portal. So these are the three types of portal option. Now I'm going to choose public and choose the default permission set for customer. And I'm going to click create. So this is going to set up the portal. Now I'm going to click on the Zilker Candy Shop, where you can add a portal user from here based upon the email address, and the email invitation will be shared. So you can see we have the email notification customization, where you can customize the invitation template. You can add an image. You can customize the font. You can merge fields and append it here in the email template. Next, we have the page customization, where you can edit the login page, reset, or sign up page. When you click on edit, you can see we have the elements which you can drag and drop to the builder, and you can customize it. And then here we have the page properties, where you can add a background image, a background color, border thickness, or a border color. So this is the page customization. So here I'm choosing the authentication to be default, which is the basic authentication for the portal. So here we have the portal link. So when you click on it, you can see this is the sign-in page. You can also click sign up to sign up the application before you actually sign in. So this is how users can sign up for the portal and log into the application. Now we're going to talk about how to set up custom domain for your application portal. So there are two types of domain mapping for a customer portal and creator. The first is default domain mapping, which we saw earlier, which is your subdomain.zohocreatorportal.com. Next, we have the custom domain, where you need to enter a verified domain which you have already purchased from a service and map it here in Zoho Creator. So when you map the custom domain, when you try to access the portal, you can see the portal URL will be your custom domain, which is basically a white labeled solution. So you can type in the domain of yours and access the Zoho Creator portal. So here are the steps to customize the domain. So the step one here is to purchase a verified domain from services like Zoho Mail or GoDaddy. So we have already purchased the domain myzilkerportal.online. And the second step is to configure the portal for your application in Zoho Creator by choosing custom domain, where you will need to enter the custom domain which we have purchased. The third step is to verify the domain from the DNS manager. So we will talk about what DNS manager later. You can see once you map the custom domain, you need to click verify. And the verification process has to be done by either one of the three methods which is listed here. You can either add a CNAME or a TXT, or you can map a HTML file. So what is a DNS manager? So DNS stands for Domain Name System. So it basically translates domain names into IP address and vice versa. For example, when we search for a specific domain in your website, the domain name is going to be checked inside the DNS manager to get an IP address. So once it gets the IP address, we will be redirected to the domain site using this specific IP address. So to basically verify these domains, records needs to be added in the DNS manager at the backend. And these specific records is basically going to help us map the details of the domain and verify it. And the last step, once you complete mapping or adding the records to the DNS manager, it is important to raise for an SSL certificate. So websites need SSL certificate to keep users' data secure and verify its ownership for the website. So it also prevent attackers from creating a fake version of your website. If you haven't configured a SSL certificate, you will end up receiving not secure HTTP error. So to raise SSL certificate, please write to support@zohocreator.com with your domain and your account details. So here we have a screenshot of the error message, which we can get if we haven't mapped SSL certificate post adding the records to the DNS manager. So once you map the records to the DNS manager, you need to raise a SSL certificate. Now let's see a demonstration of how to map a custom domain in Zoho Creator. So let's consider our Zilker Candy Shop, where I'm going to get into the application settings and map the custom domain. So here we are choosing the default domain initially. So I'm going to map the custom domain. And the custom domain is going to be myzilkerportal.online. It's the domain which we have purchased. Also, you will need to add www. And update. So once you click update, you can see myzilkerportal.online needs to be verified. So only if you verify, you will need to access the portal. So in order to verify, we have the three methods. So you can choose any one of it. So today we're going to talk about CNAME and TXT. So let's see how to map the CNAME first. So I have purchased the domain from Zoho Mail, where you can see this is my domain which I have purchased already, and Zoho Mail have offered the DNS manager URL since I have purchased the domain within it. So likewise, based upon the service you own the domain, you will need to manage the DNS. So I'm going to open up the DNS manager, and here we have the username and password. So I need to enter the portal domain, that is the domain name. And here I'm going to enter the username and password. And I'm going to log in. So you will need to complete setting up the profile first. And once you complete setting up the profile, I'm going to get into name service. And this is where we manage the domain name system. So here I'm going to click on modify DNS zone, where you can see A records, and we have CNAME records and TXT records. So here I'm going to click add records in CNAME, and the subdomain is mandatory for CNAME records. I'm going to type in www, and for the host name, it is going to be the host name which we have over here. So since I have the account in .com, which is the USDC, it is going to be creator.cs.zohohost.com. If I have the account in .in or .eu, it is going to be zohohost.eu or .in at the end. So I'm going to choose this and map it here. So once I add the CNAME record, I'm going to save the DNS zone. So for a CNAME, you will need to map it twice. That is, you will need to add two records. So here we have added the first record. So once I have added the first record, I'm going to do a quick refresh from my end from the Zoho Creator portal and click verify. And now you can see we have a new ID which is being generated, which is basically the subdomain which we will need to add here. So you will need to add another record, where this time the subdomain is going to be this IDs which we have over here. And the host name remains the same, creator.cs.zohohost.com. This is the second record for the CNAME, and save it. So once you click verify, the verification will actually fail because you haven't mapped the SSL file. So you will need to raise for a SSL certification. Let's try to access this portal here where we have mapped the custom domain. And now you can see it automatically redirects to the login page with the custom domain where we don't have the brand Zoho anywhere. So here we didn't get an error because we have already configured a SSL certificate for this domain for this portal at the backend. So that's the reason we don't have any error. But from your end, after verifying the records in the DNS manager, you will need to raise for a SSL certificate. Next, let's talk about SAML authentication using Azure Active Directory. So what is SAML? SAML is Security Assertion Markup Language. It's basically a framework which allows users to perform single sign-on using the action of authentication across multiple services. So this authentication and single sign-on is going to be secure and easy. So SAML is basically an open federation standard that allows an identity provider, which is IDP, to authenticate users to a specific application or a website, then pass an authentication token to application known as service provider, which is SP. So before getting started, you will need to get to know about terminologies for SAML, which is IDP or IP, SP, and entity ID. So IDP is identity provider. So here we have a couple of examples, which is Azure Active Directory, OneLogin, or Okta. So identity provider is where the system manages the identity information or credentials of the user. And service provider is going to be the application portal or a website. So in our case, it's going to be Zoho Creator portal. And then we have the entity ID. So entity ID is a unique ID which we need to configure based upon the data center, which is DC. So for US data center, it's going to be zoho.com. For EU, it's going to be zoho.eu. For India, it's going to be zoho.in. And for China, it's going to be zoho.com.cn. The most important component of SAML authentication is single sign-on. So single sign-on is an authentication method again that enables users to securely authenticate with multiple applications simultaneously. And that's going to happen in your website with just one set of credentials. So let's see how a basic process of SAML authentication works. So now here we have a user who is trying to access the portal, customer portal of Zoho Creator, which is service provider. So when they try to access the portal, a SAML request from service provider Zoho Creator will be sent to the identity provider, which can be Azure Active Directory. So when it redirects to identity provider, it's going to display the login page. And then this login page is going to get the credentials, and the credentials will be sent for verification for the user database or the Active Directory. So once the credentials are validated, the verification response is sent to the identity provider, where it verifies and sends a SAML response back to service provider creator. So this is where it verifies and authenticates, and the user will be allowed to access the application of Zoho Creator. So that's a basic process. However, here we have the process of SAML authentication in Zoho Creator portal, which is explained in detail. So the first step is the customer access the customer portal from the browser. So which basically sends a SAML request from the service provider Zoho Creator portal to the identity provider through the browser based upon the login URL configured. And the identity provider basically verifies and generate a SAML response, and this SAML response will be sent from the identity provider to Zoho Creator, which is the service provider, for verification. And once it is verified, customer is going to be logged into the customer portal. So that's a very simple process. Now let's see how to configure SAML authentication. So for this, I'm going to map the Zilker Candy Shop customer portal. So where you can see we have the custom domain. And I'm going to choose the authentication, which is next to portal user. And I'm going to do a SAML authentication. Before that, I'm going to add in a portal user. So that the user can actually log in based upon the user email address which has been added to the portal just for the login purpose, or to validate the user credentials from the service provider, which is Zoho Creator. Next, choose the authentication and choose the authentication method to SAML. So once you click on it, you can see we have the ACS URL, which is Assertion Customer Service URL. And this URL will be configured in the SAML authentication service, which is the Azure Active Directory in our scenario. Then we have the entity ID, which is automatically generated. And you will need to configure the login URL, logout URL from the Azure Active Directory. And you will need to upload a public key again from the Azure Active Directory. So a login URL is a URL which all the customers of the customer portal will be redirected for authentication. Whereas a logout URL is a URL which customers are redirected when they are signed out from the customer portal under the single sign-on. And this public key is used to decode the response message sent by the identity provider. And then we have two types of algorithms, RSA and DSA. So we'll be choosing RSA for this. So RSA is basically a type of crypto system algorithm, whereas DSA is a type of digital signature algorithm. So you can use RSA algorithm for securing the transmission of data. So we'll be choosing RSA for this specific procedure. So here we have the Microsoft Azure page. I'm going to click sign in. So it's logging to the service. From here, we have the Azure services. I'm going to click on Azure Active Directory. So from the left side, click on Enterprise Application and create a new application. So I'm going to search for SAML SSO and click on SAML SSO by Microsoft. I'm going to provide a name, Zilker Candy Shop Portal. That's going to be the name for this application and click create. So this is going to create the application. And now you can see the application is created successfully. So the first step is to assign the users. I have already configured the users from the home page. So get into home page, click on the users, and I have already added a user. You can add a new user by clicking on adding click new user, or create a user if you are the super admin, or you can invite an external user based upon the level of privilege you have for the account. And then get back to Azure directory, choose enterprise application, and search for the application that we have created. And the first step is to assign the users. So I'm going to assign a user, same user which I have already added to the customer portal of Zoho Creator. And the next step is to do a single sign-on. So click on single sign-on from the left side, where you need to choose SAML Authentication. So the first step is to configure basic SAML procedure. So click edit and first map the entity ID. So entity ID here is zoho.com. So I'm going to map zoho.com. Next, we'll need to add the ACS URL. So I'm going to copy the ACS URL and paste it here. And then you will need to map the sign-on URL. So for this customer portal mapping, you can use the same ACS URL which you have configured here again for the single sign-on URL. So once you have mapped this, you can click on save. You can see single sign-on configuration was saved successfully. Now let's get back and get into SAML certificates. So click edit and choose the signing option to be sign SAML response and save. And while it's being updating, click on the three dots here and download the PEM certificate. So this PEM certificate will have the public key. And the next step is to set up Zilker Candy Shop portal. So here we have the login URL and the logout URL. So I'm going to copy the login URL and map it here. Get back to Azure and copy the logout URL and paste it here in the logout URL. And for the public key, click browse and choose the PEM file which we have downloaded from Azure and map it here. And the algorithm is going to be RSA. Now click configure. So now the SAML authentication is established. Now let's test it out. So I'm going to copy the URL and open a new guest window. So here is the URL, which is a custom domain URL. You can see it instantly redirects to Azure Active Directory. Now I'm going to quickly sign in. With the credentials of Azure Active Directory. You can see how we have been logged into Zilker Candy Shop using the credentials of the directory from Azure. So now we have customized the permission set for the customer to add in order, check the inventory, and to contact us. We only have a couple of components. So that's about the SAML authentication. which we have configured successfully. Mobile apps in Creator. So when we talk about a mobile application, the application created in Zoho Creator in the web can be instantly accessed through mobile phones, which is possible through the Zoho Creator application, which you can download from the App Store in your iPhone. So you will need to log in using the Zoho Creator account. Whereas for the customer portal, we have another application, which is customer portal for Zoho Creator, where you need to enter the customer portal and use the credentials to log in. So for both of these applications, you can see the brand Zoho, and that's where you can rebrand the application using native mobile apps in Zoho Creator. So if you want to hide the brand and white label it based upon your brand and logo, you can choose this option. So we have a rebranding for Android as well as for iOS. So here in this session, we're going to focus on rebranding the application for iOS. So you will be able to download your own application from the App Store and install it in your iPhone and start using it. You can also offer this for your delivery agents or your customers so that they can download and start placing orders. Here in this case for Zilker Candy Shop, the customers can start placing orders just from the online application in their iPhone. So in order to rebrand the mobile application for iOS, we have a code sign-in process. So first, you need to enroll to Apple Developer Program. So once you enroll for it, you need to create two files, .p12 file and .mobile provision file. And these two files has to be generated from the developer account. So once these files are ready, you need to upload these files back to Zoho Creator, which in turn gives you a .ipa file. And this .ipa file has to be uploaded to App Store Connect. So you will basically upload the IPA file via transporter application. So you will download this transporter application in Mac and connect these with the App Store Connect and upload the IPA file. So once you upload the IPA file, you can review the application to App Store. So before you submit for app review, you will be testing it and then you will submit the app for review. So once you submit for review, after the approval, your application will be uploaded to App Store in 24 hours of time. So the first step is to have a developer account in Apple. So for this, I'm going to choose Zilker Candy Shop, the application where we have configured the custom domain and authentication. So I'm going to choose mobile from the deploy section, where I'm going to click create new. So while I click create new, it allows me to choose the application. So here you can see the type of user for which you're going to configure the application and the platform. And here we have the Apple developer account. So log into developer.apple.com and I'm going to click on account from the top. And I'm going to log into the account. So here we have the account in which you can start creating the certificates, identifiers, and map the device. So in order to test the application, you will need to map your device with this developer account, which is important. Now let's start creating the files. To create a file, the first step is to access the keychain. Click on keychain access and create a new certificate. So I'm going to click on certificate assistant and click on request a certificate from a certificate authority. So this is where I'm going to type in the email address. Enter the common name and click save to desk. So this is going to create a file. So you can see we have a certificate created. So I'm going to make use of this certificate and go to the developer account, click on certificates. And here I'm going to click on new certificate and choose Apple distribution. And here I'm going to upload the file which we have created from the keychain access, which is certificate signing request, CSR file. So here in the desktop, we have the certificate signing request, which I'm going to choose and open and click continue. So you can see we have an expiration date. Make a note of this so it will be easy for you to map the certificate later based upon this specific expiration date. So once you map it, you can click download. This is going to download a distribution certificate .cer certificate. So here we have the .cer certificate. I'm going to bring this to the desktop so we can see that clearly. So now I'm going to drag and drop this certificate into the keychain access. When you click on it, you can see the name of the certificate and Apple distribution. I'm going to click on control and click on it where you get the option to export. So I'm going to export this file and you can see we get a .p12 file. That's the first step. Now click on save. So for a P12 file, you need to create a password which you need to remember or note it down. So this password will be used later while you perform the code sign-in process. Here I'm going to log into my keychain access, complete this process. Now here we have the .p12 file, the first file, which is important to do the code sign-in process. Next, I'm going to get back to the profile where I need to create an identifier. So identifier are unique for every application, whereas the certificate that you have created can be used for multiple apps, whereas the identifier is unique for every application. So click on identifier and choose Apple IDs and click continue and choose the app. Enter a description and enter a bundle ID. I'm going to say com.zilker candy shop. So if you want to enable the push notification, so here you can see we have different types of capabilities which you can enable. So you can click on push notification. Check this. So now it's been mapped. So once we have created the identifier, you can see the bundle name is available and it has been mapped. Now let's go to the push notification where you can see we have a configure button. You will need to click on it and click on the create certificate for production SSL certificate. This is where you need to create another set of process for push notification. So I'll tell you how to create one. Again, follow the same procedure to create request for a new certificate from the authority. Enter the email address. And save to disk. This time save it as APNS, which is used for push notification. So here we have another file to create a P12 file for push notification. So we will need to follow the same procedure. So get into the identifier, get to the push notification and click configure, create certificate for production SSL and choose the CSR file. So here you can see we have the APNS certificate for the certificate signing request, which is created for push notification specifically, and click continue. And this is going to give you another .cr file. You can see we have a different file, aps.cer file. So here we have the .cer file, which I'm going to bring to the desktop. Now I'm going to bring this .cr file and import it into the keychain access. This time you can see it says Apple push service. So first we created one for Apple distribution. Second, we have created for Apple push service, and you can see the name of the specific certificates we have created, Zilker Candy Shop. I'm going to click on control and click on the record. Here we have and export. I'm going to save it as APNS. Again, a password is required, which you need to make a note, and this we will use it later. So I'm going to enter my password for the Max keychain access, configure the changes. So we have another P12 certificate generated for push notification. One for the application code sign-in process, another one for the push notification. So here we have the P12 certificate generated. Now let's get back, and this time you will need to create a profile. So before you create a profile, make sure you have a device map. So you will need to create a device and you will need to map it, which is important. So if you're going to test it, a device mapping is essential. So next I'm going to get into profile and create a new profile, and under distribution choose App Store and click submit. So here search for the application. So we have two Zilker Candy Shop. So the one we have created is .org apps. So I'm going to choose it and click continue. And here is the file, certificate file, which we have created. So I have already informed and mentioned that you will need to make a note of the expiration date for the certificate that we have first created initially in the developer account. So the reason why I have mentioned it is it will be useful when you try to configure the certificate for this provisioning profile. So this is the certificate we have created, and I'm going to click continue and name the profile to be Zilker Candy Shop. Let's say app and click generate. This is going to provide you the mobile provisioning certificate. So we have the mobile provisioning certificate. It is successfully downloaded. So here we have the certificate. So basically, these are the certificates to download the P12 file, and we have a mobile provisioning certificate. And then these are the certificates to download another P12 file for push notification. So these are the three important files which are required to perform the code sign-in process. So let's see how the code sign-in process is going to take place. Let's get into the application and create a new application for Zilker Candy Shop. Select user or portal. So here I'm going to choose portal and select iOS. Click next. So here I'm going to choose a custom icon. So I have already configured a logo in the desktop, so I'm going to use it. Next, you can see we need to upload the P12 file, the P12 password which you have provided while you created. So you need to remember or note it down and use the password here. And you need to upload the mobile provisioning file. So browse for the certificate from the desktop. So we have two P12 files. One is for the code sign-in process for application, which we have initially created. Upload this. Enter the password you used while you create the P12 file. Then upload the mobile provisioning certificate, which we have generated at the last step. And in addition to this, to enable push notification, click enable push notification and upload the APNS certificate, the P12 file, which we have created. So that's the APNS certification, the P12 file, and enter the password that you used while you created the P12 file, the second P12 file, and click enable. Now you have configured the steps correctly and click code sign in. So the code sign in process will take place around 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so. So once the code sign in process is completed, you will get a .ipa file similar to the one we have over here in the screen. So you can click download and that's going to download the IPA file. So I have already created a IPA file. So here we have the .ipa file for Zilker Candy Shop. So I'm going to show you how to use this and upload it into the account. So for this, you need to first log into App Store Connect. Here you will need to get into My Apps and you need to create an application. So this application will map the details of or the files that you have generated and the IPA files that you're going to upload. So here we have a number of apps. So we need to create new app, choose iOS, offer a name, choose the language, choose the bundle ID. Here is going to be Zilker Candy Shop. And add a SKU ID, which is going to be and offer the full access. And click create. So I have already created an application. So I'm going to show the application that I have created. So this is how the app will be created when you click create. And the next step is you will need to get into the test flight and you will need to upload the application. So here I'm going to search for Transporter, which is an application which we will need to download from the Mac store. So this is the Transporter application. So you will need to have this application in your Mac, and this is where you need to upload the .ipa file. So here I have already uploaded the .ipa file. So once you click and upload this .ipa file into Transport, so this is how we will be uploading it. When you click deliver, the upload process will take place. In a couple of minutes, the application will be delivered successfully and you'll be able to see the delivery logs. When you complete submitting the IPA file in the transporter, and once the application is ready and once the log message is available, you can see the application here. Basically, it is going to be linked to this specific app store app in the App Store Connect based upon the bundle ID that you have mapped, and the application is going to be uploaded and it says ready to submit. So before you submit, create a group, and inside the group, here we have Zilker Candy, add a tester. So select the tester and add it here. So I have added a tester, and now we're going to test the application. So now I'm going to quickly connect my mobile application so you all can see my mobile and visualize the application. And here we have my iPhone. So here we have the application. So the first step here is to go to App Store, search for test flight, and you need to install this test flight into your mobile. And the next step is, once you add the tester here in the App Store Connect, the email invitation will be sent. We have an invitation. So when you click on the invitation, it says that you have been invited to test the Zilker Candy Shop. So you can click view in test flight, and that's going to redirect us back to the test flight. So it says install. So this is how when you try to access the email for the first time, you will be redirected to this page where you can click install application, and the application will be installed in a couple of minutes. So let's wait for it to be installed. So it's almost done. So while it is being installed, let's go back and see a couple of apps that I've already installed. So here I have installed an application which is basically for users. You can see the orders. You can see the details and the installation or calendar report. So this is basically a user application. And then we have another application which is Zilker Store. This is designed for customer portal. So you can see the job sheet where you can swipe to the right to delete the record, and you can swipe to the left to click mark as delivered and update an action. And we also have different types of reports which can be viewed here even in the mobile app too. So here you can see the Kanban report and the contact us form where you can instantly reach the shop. So this is about the Zilker Store application, and let's click open. So this is going to redirect to page where you can see we have mapped a custom domain and the page is already white labeled. So I'm going to log in using the email address and the password. So we have signed into the portal using the credentials, and here we have the application. So we have the orders where you can place an order instantly. And then we have the items where you can see the inventory of all the candies. So here we have the candies details. And here we have the contact us form to reach the shop, and that's it. So this is how we will need to white label your mobile application in Zoho Creator. You will basically add in multiple testers initially to test it. But after testing it or upgrading the versions that is required, you will send it for review. So this send it for review option is available within the App Store Connect. So get back to the App Store inside the application, add in the required details, fill in the information, and then you need to submit for review. So once you click on it, it will go for the approval process, and within 24 hours after the approval process, you can see the application in your App Store. So now your customers can search your application with your brand and logo from the App Store and start downloading it and using it in their end. So that's the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, you can feel free to post your questions in the questions panel. We'll be happy to address those. So if you're new to Creator, you can try Zoho Creator for free from zoho.com/creator. I thank everyone here for joining the webinar. So if you have any further questions or queries, you can feel free to drop an email to support@zohocreator.com or solutions@zohocreator.com. I wish everyone all the best and happy learning.